step into the extraordinary world of special and creative English conversations. With each episode, embark on a journey filled with unique and captivating dialogues designed to enhance your language skills. Let's explore language in an exceptional and innovative way, making learning both engaging and enjoyable. Join us on this extraordinary adventure of language exploration and mastery. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Daily English Conversations for Intermediate Learners. I'm Sophia, and joining me today are Mason, Emily, and June. How's everyone doing today?
Hey Sophia, I'm doing great. Excited to be here and chat with you all. Hi, Emily and June.
Hi everyone. I'm feeling pretty good and ready to dive into our topic today.
Same here. It's always a pleasure to have these conversations with you all. So, what are we talking about today, Sophia?
Today, we're focusing on advanced greetings. Greetings are such an essential part of daily conversations, and having a variety of them can make our interactions more engaging and natural. We'll explore different ways to greet people, from casual to more formal contexts. Sound good?
Absolutely. Greetings are the first impression we make, so it's important to get them right. Plus, it's fun to mix things up a bit.
Totally agree. It's amazing how many ways there are to say hello and make someone feel welcome.
Yes, and using the right greeting can set the tone for the whole conversation. So, let's get started.
Great. Let's start with some casual greetings. Mason, what's your go-to greeting when you meet up with friends?
When I'm with friends, I usually go for something relaxed and informal, like, hey, what's up? Or, hey, how's it going? It's simple and it shows that I'm interested in how they're doing.
I'm the same way. I often say, hi there, or hey, good to see you. It's friendly and warm, which is perfect for casual settings.
I like those too. Another one I use a lot is, hey, long time no see. It's great for when I haven't seen someone in a while.
Those are all fantastic casual greetings. I often say, hey, what have you been up to? It's a nice way to catch up and start a conversation.
Definitely, and it's interesting how these casual greetings can vary depending on where you are. In some places, you might hear how's it hanging or what's good.
True. It's fun to learn regional differences. Now, let's move on to more formal greetings. June, what do you use in a professional setting?
In a professional setting, I usually stick to good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on the time of day. It's polite and respectful.
Yes, time-specific greetings are always a safe bet. Mason, do you have any other formal greetings you use?
I do. In a business context, I often say, hello, it's a pleasure to meet you, or good to see you. It's a bit more formal and shows respect.
Those are great. I also like to use how do you do. It's a bit old-fashioned, but it's still used in very formal situations.
And if you're meeting someone for the first time, you might say, nice to meet you, or it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. These are great for making a positive first impression.
Absolutely. Formal greetings are all about showing respect and courtesy. And remember, the tone of your voice and your body language are just as important as the words you use.
Good point, Sophia. A warm smile and a firm handshake can make a big difference in how your greeting is received.
Definitely. Now, let's talk about greetings in different cultural contexts. In some cultures, greetings can be quite different from what we're used to. Sophia, do you have any examples?
Sure, in Japan, for example, it's common to bow when greeting someone. The depth of the bow can vary depending on the level of respect you want to convey. It's a fascinating aspect of Japanese culture.
That's interesting. In many Middle Eastern countries, people often greet each other with a kiss on the cheek, sometimes on both cheeks. It's a very warm and personal way of saying hello.
And in some parts of Africa, people might greet each other with a handshake that includes a thumb grip, followed by a snap of the fingers. It's a unique and friendly gesture.
Those are all great examples. It's important to be aware of cultural differences in greetings, especially when traveling or meeting people from different backgrounds.
Definitely. Being mindful of cultural norms shows respect and can help build positive relationships. Now, let's move on to some fun and creative greetings. Mason, what's a unique greeting you've come across?
One of my favorites is "What's crackin'?" It's very casual and fun. I also like "Hey there, sunshine." It's a cheerful way to greet someone and can really brighten their day.
I love those. Another fun one is "How's life treating you?" It's a bit different and can lead to interesting conversations.
Yes, and I've heard people say, "What's the latest?" or "What's new and exciting?" These are great for starting a conversation on a positive note.
Those are all fantastic. I also like "Hey, stranger." It's playful and can be used when you haven't seen someone in a while.
Great ideas, everyone. And sometimes adding a little humor to your greeting can make it even more enjoyable. For example, you might say, "Ahoy, matey," if you're feeling playful.
Or you could go with, "What's cookin'? Good lookin'." It's a fun and flirty way to greet someone.
Those are hilarious. It's amazing how a little creativity can make greetings so much more fun.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about greetings in written form, like emails or text messages. What are some good ways to start an email, Mason?
In a professional email, I usually start with "Dear name" or "Hello name." It's polite and sets a formal tone.
Yes, and in a more casual email or text message, you might start with "Hi name" or "Hey name." It's friendly and less formal.
Another good one for emails is "Greetings" or "Good day," especially if you don't know the person well. It's neutral and polite.
Those are all great suggestions. And remember, the closing of an email is just as important as the opening. Best regards, sincerely, or "Take care," or good options depending on the context.
Absolutely. The way we greet people, whether in person or in writing, can set the tone for the entire interaction.
So true. And it's worth taking a moment to choose the right greeting for the situation. It shows thoughtfulness and respect.
Yes, and it can make our conversations more engaging and enjoyable. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. Any final thoughts on advanced greetings, Sophia?
Just that it's always a good idea to mix things up and be mindful of the context. Greetings are the first step in building positive connections, so it's worth putting in a little effort to get them right.
Great advice, Sophia, and remember, everyone, practice makes perfect. The more we use these greetings, the more natural they'll become.
Absolutely. Thanks for the wonderful discussion, everyone.
Now, we're diving into the world of small talk. Small talk can sometimes feel trivial, but it's actually an important skill for building relationships and making connections. We'll explore how to engage in small talk naturally and joyfully. Sound good?
Absolutely, small talk is essential, especially in social and professional settings. It's the glue that holds conversations together.
Totally agree. It's amazing how a few well-chosen words can break the ice and create a friendly atmosphere.
Yes, and mastering small talk can make us feel more confident in various situations. So, let's get started.
Great, let's start with the basics. Mason, what's your go-to topic when you're making small talk?
I usually start with something easy and universal, like the weather. It's a safe topic that everyone can relate to. I might say, "Beautiful day, isn't it?" Or, "Can you believe how hot it is today?"
The weather is definitely a classic. I often talk about weekend plans. It's a great way to learn more about someone and find common interests. I might ask, "Got any plans for the weekend?" Or, "How was your weekend?"
I like those topics too. Another one I use is current events or something happening in the local community. It's a way to stay relevant and show that you're engaged with what's going on around you.
Those are all great topics. I often start with compliments or observations. For example, "I love your scarf. Where did you get it?" Or, "This place has such a nice vibe, don't you think?"
Compliments are a great way to start a conversation. They make people feel good and open up more easily. Another thing I do is talk about mutual connections or shared experiences. For instance, "I heard you work with John. How do you like it there?"
Yes, mutual connections are great conversation starters. And when we're talking about shared experiences, it creates a sense of camaraderie and understanding.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about how to keep the conversation going. Sophia, what strategies do you use to keep small talk from fizzling out?
One technique I use is asking open-ended questions. These are questions that can't be answered with just a yes or no. For example, instead of asking, "Did you like the movie?" I might ask, "What did you think of the movie?"
That's a great tip. Open-ended questions encourage more detailed responses and keep the conversation flowing. I also try to actively listen and show genuine interest in the other person's answers. It makes them feel valued and more willing to share.
Definitely. Another thing I do is share a bit about myself. It's a balance of asking questions and sharing my own experiences. It helps to build a connection and makes the conversation feel more natural.
Yes, sharing personal anecdotes can make the conversation more engaging. And it's important to be attentive to the other person's body language and verbal cues. If they seem interested in a particular topic, I'll steer the conversation in that direction.
Those are fantastic strategies. Now, let's add a bit of humor to our small talk. Mason, how do you incorporate humor into your conversations?
I love using light-hearted jokes or funny observations. It helps to lighten the mood and make the conversation more enjoyable. For example, if we're talking about the weather, I might say, "It's so hot today, I saw a chicken lay an omelet."
That's hilarious. Humor definitely makes small talk more fun. I often use playful banter or funny stories. It helps to break the ice and makes the conversation memorable.
Yes, humor is a great way to connect with people. Just make sure it's appropriate for the context and the person you're talking to. A well-timed joke can make a lasting impression.
Absolutely. And sometimes, self-deprecating humor can be very effective. It shows that you don't take yourself too seriously and can laugh at yourself. For example, I tried cooking a new recipe last night and ended up ordering pizza instead. Cooking fail.
Self-deprecating humor is great because it's relatable and shows humility. Now, let's talk about ending small talk gracefully. Emily, how do you wrap up a conversation without it feeling abrupt?
I usually look for a natural pause in the conversation and then say something like, "It was great chatting with you. Let's catch up again soon." It's polite and leaves the door open for future conversations.
That's a good approach. I also like to summarize the main points of the conversation before saying goodbye. For example, "I'm glad we got to talk about the new project. I'll send you that information later today."
Those are great tips. I often end with a compliment or a positive note, like "I really enjoyed our chat." You have some great insights. It leaves the conversation on a high note.
Absolutely. Ending on a positive note is always a good idea. And if you're in a professional setting, exchanging contact information can be a nice way to continue the conversation later.
Definitely. Now, let's add a bit of storytelling to our small talk. Sharing short, interesting stories can make the conversation more engaging. Sophia, do you have a favorite story you like to share during small talk?
Sure, I have a funny travel story that I love to share. Once, I was in Paris and decided to take a spontaneous day trip to a nearby town. I ended up on the wrong train and found myself in a completely different city. It turned into an unexpected adventure, and I met some wonderful people along the way.
That's a great story, Sophia. Travel stories are always interesting because they're full of surprises and new experiences.
Absolutely. I have a story about trying a new hobby. I decided to take up pottery, but my first few attempts were disasters. One time, I made a bowl that ended up looking like a lopsided hat. But it was a lot of fun, and now I have some unique pieces to show for it.
That's awesome, Emily. Stories about trying new things are always relatable and can inspire others to step out of their comfort zones.
Yes, and sharing stories can help build a connection with the other person. It makes the conversation more personal and engaging.
Definitely, and it's important to listen to the other person's stories as well. It shows that you're interested in their experiences and makes the conversation more balanced.
Great point, Mason. Now, let's share some reflective exercises and practice tips for our listeners. Sophia, do you have any reflective exercises that can help improve small talk skills?
Yes, one exercise I recommend is keeping a conversation journal. After each small talk interaction, write down what you talked about, what went well, and what you could improve. Reflecting on these conversations can help you become more aware of your strengths and areas for improvement.
That's a great idea. Another tip is to practice small talk in low-pressure situations, like with a barista at a coffee shop or a neighbor. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become.
Absolutely. And try to learn a few new topics or interesting facts each week. It can give you fresh material to use in your conversations and make you feel more confident.
Yes, and remember to be yourself. Authenticity is key to making meaningful connections. People appreciate genuine conversations, so let your personality shine through.
Those are fantastic tips. And here's a vocabulary focus for our listeners. Learn and practice using words like engage, icebreaker, anecdote, banter, and authentic in your conversations. These words can add depth and variety to your small talk.
Great advice, Sophia. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. Any final thoughts on engaging in small talk, Emily?
Just remember to be curious and open-minded. Small talk is a great opportunity to learn about others and build connections.
Yes, and don't be afraid to take the initiative. Sometimes, starting the conversation can be the hardest part, but it gets easier with practice.
Absolutely. Thanks for the wonderful discussion, everyone. And thank you to our listeners for joining us today.
Yes, thanks for tuning in. We hope you found this conversation helpful and enjoyable.
Take care, everyone, and happy chatting.
Until next time, keep practicing and have fun with your conversations. Bye for now.